Hello everyone and welcome to this explanation session for the project Neural Style Transfer. Okay, so I know this is an optional project, but I think it's really interesting and you should try to do it all, okay? Okay, so let me start. What is a neural style transfer? So, in fact, the neural style transfer, it allows you to apply painting styles of famous painters to your own photo. Okay, so the results are quite visually pleasing. Let's take an example. For example, you have a content image. So this is a photo, and you have a style image. Okay, so you want to apply the style of this image to this photo, to your content image. Okay, so the generated image or the mixed image will look like this. Okay, so basically we have two images, style image and content image, and we need to copy the style from the style image and apply it to the content image. Okay, so we produce a mixed image that preserves the contours of the content image and adds the texture and color pattern from the style image to the content image. Okay, so let's take another example. For example, you have this photo and you want to combine the content of the photograph with the style of several well-known artworks. Okay, so you will get these different images. Okay, so when I say the content, I mean the shapes. Okay, so for example, if you have this photograph of buildings, if you want to save the content image, it means that you want to save the shapes of these buildings. Okay, and for the style image, I mean the colors of the image, for example, the texture, etc. Okay. Okay, so this is another example, but I think you get the idea now. Okay, so this is what we call the neural style transfer, and it is done by using a convolution neural network. Okay, so why we use the convolution neural network? Because it uses the neural networks or their properties to transfer the style of the image and the content of the image. Because in a convolution neural network, we can capture or extract the features that we need and we use it later on. Okay, so this is the neural style transfer. Okay. Okay, so as we know, the convolution neural network consists of layers of small computational units that process visual information and try to extract at each state the information and the feature from the input image. So for example, we have here a pre-trained model, which is the VGG19. This is the architecture of VGG19 that we are going to use it later on. At each state, the convolution layers try to to cap the informations or cap the features from this image. Okay, so at each state, each convolution layer tries to cap some features of the input image. Okay. So in fact, the lower layers will learn about the less important features such as ages or pixel values, but on the higher layer or layers, they will learn about the shape and more technical features. They will care more about the actual content, not just the pixels. Okay, so for example here, for the first layer, it will have the basic representations. For example, here we have the shapes. The second one we will have the complex patterns. Okay, and the third one we will have the high level abstraction. Okay, so along the way as the network goes more deeper, it will cares about the details and the actual content of the image. Okay, not just the pixel value. Okay, so this is another example. We have the first convolution will capture the age and the blob. The second one will capture the texture. The third one will capture more the content of the image as the object parts, and the final one will capture the classes of the objects. Okay. Okay, so this is from where we can extract, and now from where we can extract the content from an image, or the style from an image. Okay, so in this project you are going to use the VGG19 pre-trained model with some changes, so you need to read the paper carefully. Okay, and then you are going to consider the first part of the first layer, the first part of the second layer, the first part of the third layer, and the first part of the fourth layer, as well as the first part of the fifth layer. All these red convolution layers are considered as the style extractor. Okay, and it will consider the second part of the fourth convolution layer as the content extractor. Okay. Okay, so this is a choice that the original paper has made after several experience. Okay, they tried different layers, and this worked well. Okay, so you can try other, for example, you can try the content extractor as the fifth convolution layer. Okay, so how can we extract these features? In fact, for example, let's start with the content image. We are going to fit this model with the content image. Okay, and then we will extract from the fourth layer. After the activation function, we are going to extract the feature maps. Okay, so we have a matrix that will represent our content, or will extract our content, okay, from our content image. Okay, the same thing, I'm going to enter here my randomly chosen image that I am going to generate. Okay, and then I'm going to extract the content extractor from this layer. Okay, and then I'm going to try to minimize the difference between these two feature maps. Okay, so this is for the content extractor. Now for the style extractor, I'm going to do let's say the same thing. I'm going to fit this model with my content, with my style image. Okay, and then I'm going at each red layer here, I'm going to extract my feature maps. Okay, but in this case I'm not going to take this matrix as it is, but I'm going to apply to it my gray matrix. Okay, so what is a gray matrix? So a gray matrix is a squared matrix that contains the dot products between each vectorized filters in layer L. So in layer L, for each layer L, I'm going to get a gray matrix, which is a squared matrix with shape the depth here, the number of channels. Okay, so each layer will have a gray matrix with this shape and this shape, etc. Okay, so it's thought as a non-normalized correlation matrix for features in layer L. So it's like a correlation matrix. So the video that you have in your resources will explain this video of Andrew is explained with details what is this gray matrix and why we need it. Okay, in fact, for example, let's say here we have we are going to use this layer as the style extractor. Okay, we are going to define the style as the correlation between activations across channels. Okay, so we have here different channels. For example, here we have the channels, the red channels and the yellow channels. So how correlated are the activations across different channels? I'm going to take this value here and this value here, and I'm going to calculate the correlation between these two values. Okay, so if I have a high correlation between these two channels, this means that these two channels are very related to each other, and if you have these channels, that means I definitely will have these channels. For example, if you have the channels are the color of the image, if you have the red color, I am going to definitely have the yellow one. Okay, So let's understand this more. For example, here I have my style image, or the output that I have from my style image. Okay, so for example, this channel is represent the vertical lines, and the second channel is represent this color. Okay, so I'm going to calculate the correlation between these two. So the mathematical formula is going to be like this. I have my activation output. Okay, so my G, or my gray matrix, will be with same the number of channels. Okay, so one element of this matrix is going to be the summation over E and G. So the summation over I and G. So I is the height. Okay, and G is over the weight of my matrix. And then I'm going to do these two values that I was talking about. These two values. Okay, so I'm going to do the dot over these two values, and then I'm going to do the summation over the width and height. Okay, so this is my gray matrix, and my this is an element of my gray matrix, and the whole matrix will be a squared matrix with shape the number of channels. Okay, so if you want to understand more, you should watch this interesting video. Okay, so this is the gray matrix. After extracting the gray matrix from each layer, we are going now to calculate the loss and the content loss and the style loss. Okay, so the content loss is going to be the difference between the two feature maps of my image that I initialize, or my image that I randomly choose, and my content image. Okay, so I have here, for example, P and X. P is my original image, my content image, and X is the image that is generated. Okay, so here I'm going to go over the steps so you can understand more. So first we initialize the generated image with random noise. Okay, so we have a randomly chosen image, and then I'm going to calculate the content and the style costs. Okay, and then I'm going to use the gradient descent to minimize the cost of generated image, or the total loss, as seen in the previous slides that we are going to see now. Okay, so so we need to calculate the loss so that we can minimize the difference between or the loss between the content image and my randomly chosen image, and the style image and my randomly chosen image. Okay, so this is my loss of the content image. I have here my feature representation in layer L of my content image, and this is the feature representation of my generated image, or my image that I want to generate. Okay, so I'm calculating this norm, which is going to be the summation over E is the row and G is the column, squared. Okay, so this is for the content loss. Now for the style loss function, if you already understand the gray matrix, it's going to be easy. So I have my E image is my style image, and my X is my image that I want to generate. Okay, AL is going to be the style representation, or the gray matrix of my L layer of my style image, and G is going to be the original image, or the image that I want to generate in the layer L. So here I'm talking about the layer L. Okay, so the style loss for giving layer, it's going to be the difference between my two style representations, okay, squared. And then I'm going to normalize this with NL squared and ml squared. So NL is the number of feature maps and ml is the size of the flattened feature map in layer L. Okay, so this is for one layer. For the style loss of all the layers, I'm just going to sum over L over the layers of the style layers, the red layers. Okay, and I'm going to add an optional weight to the layers. So for example, if I want to give more interest of the first layer, I'm going to put here the high weight for the first layer, etc. Okay, so this is my style loss. So the total loss is going to be an addition between my content loss and my style loss, and I'm going to add my alpha and beta, which are the weight factors for the content and style reconstructions. Okay, so if I want to highlight the effect of the content image, I'm going to put a high alpha, and if I want to focus on the style, I want to put a high value of beta. Okay, so this is my total loss. What I'm going to do now is to try to minimize this loss. Okay, so there are several ways to do this, but in the original paper they use it with the gradient descent. Okay, so you should try to derive this, and the derivation are already calculated and put in the original paper of the put it in your resources. Okay, so after this, after calculating the loss, all you have to do is to update the pixels of your randomly chosen image, okay, that you want to generate. Okay, so if we sum up, we have the style image and a content image. We fit this to our pre-trained model. Okay, from the first layer we are going to get the style loss. From the second layer we are going to get the style loss also. This is a choice. We can get the style loss from the first layer only. Okay, so they experiment many layers and then they get the best results that you are going to generate or to code in your project. Okay, from the third layer we are going to have to extract our content loss, and then we add these losses, and after this we are going to use the gradient to update the image. So we are going to update the pixels of my random image. Okay, and we repeat this until we have our generated image that we want.